to be a co-founder, to be a CEO today, it takes a lot.
Does it? Anybody can be a co-founder and CEO. You can be a co-founder and CEO whatever you want. I think everybody's now a co-founder and CEO on OnLoop, right? I mean on LinkedIn, but
yeah,
it doesn't have to be real. But
right. But let's talk about the real ones, right? But along the way, I think there's a lot of lessons, right? So I think the more seasoned you are, you can learn the lessons faster. You can apply them in different ways. And so as you look at yourself as a business person, before we jump in, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in business, about business and about yourself?
That the biggest thing that drives, and thank you for having me, John. And
thanks, Jojo.
Set this up for a while, so I'm finally glad to be on. So much of everything is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you decide to do anything entrepreneurial in business, you need to get ready to fail a ton, and get punched in the face a lot. And I think something that is hard when you've been an employee for a long time is you're just not used to failing that often.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you get successful in companies, right? Like you just don't fail that much. And that's a very tough transition for people to make. And I think that's the downside of being seasoned. I think when someone becomes an entrepreneur at 20, I think they're more fearless.
Yeah.
I think when you're an entrepreneur at 35, I think you carry more baggage. And I think that baggage takes a while to unravel over time. But that's been one of the biggest sort of learnings.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Literally, I just hung up with one of my son's best friends, who's a senior at college, calling me for some advice and was asking me a little bit about, a bunch of different things. But one of the things he said, like, what was it like starting your first business? I said, well, I was 23 years old, living at home, just graduated college. So I was fearless. I had no expenses. I had nothing to lose. So all of my energy went into that it was going to succeed. It did, but it was, I wasn't worried about it if it didn't, because I didn't have rent. I didn't have a mortgage.
There's no opportunity cost.
Correct. So, but 9 years ago, I started my own business coaching company, right?
Yes.
I had 2 kids, and there's a whole different piece. So I agree with you. The idea of mindset and getting back to center to stay focused on growth, that is key. Mindset is, I would say, 90 to 95%, maybe 99% of all of it.
I think it depends. I think it depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to build something pioneering and you're trying to build something somewhat disruptive, the no's get louder and higher frequency, right? If you're trying to build a copycat Me Too business, I think it's easier to go with the tide. The question is, are you going with the tide or against the tide?
Yeah.
And Ray Dalio talks about this in Principles, that the most important question in business is how much pain are you willing to tolerate?
Right.
Not how successful you want to be. Everybody wants to be successful.
Right.
But they don't understand that it comes with a fuck ton of pain. And part of the French, a lot of people want the success without the pain. That I think is slightly harder to achieve.
Right. And to your point, the higher the pain, you got to focus on your mindset and keep your eye on the prize. And in a way, run your own race, right? You're talking about copycat and this, but if you're running somebody else's race, then your mindset, it's going to be really hard to get your mindset in focus.
But at the same time, I will say that I think founders can get very tunnel vision. And I think it's very important to have 1 to 3 people around you that know you, have your best interest in mind, but see the world differently.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, I'm very grateful for my wife, and I often go to my wife and being like, should I give up?
Yeah.
And her answer is always no.
Yeah.
Right. And I take that very seriously because she comes at it from a different place.
Yeah.
And she's my life co-founder.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I have that in a spouse. Some people don't have that in a spouse.
Yeah.
I need to find other people. but I think you need people around who fully get you, but give you an honest perspective that you don't
100%.
have. I think founders get very tunnel vision, and you also need to know when to quit.
Yeah.
And you also know when to pivot,
Yeah.
and you also need to know when to adjust. And I don't think founders are very good at that.
Yeah. I think that was really well said. I'm a business coach. I have a business coach. I have mentors, but I tell people my wife is my number one business coach, because she knows me the best. So she knows how to, if she tells me something's a bad idea, I just end it.